Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over there,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Ah.
Yeah. Welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. We bring it to you hot and live each and every weekday at 6 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yes, and all of that is true. And the man on the other microphone is the great patriot himself. He is more patriotic than spaghetti.
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this January 1st or January 11th, 2019. Loudbeard.
Yeah, that's
and
two
this-
ones, not 1-1. It's
One,
not
one.
the first, it's two ones,
One.
which is 11 when
I
they're
got
next to
confused
each other.
'cause, Well, there's so many ones in today's date. It's like 1-1-1-1-9-9. No, just one.
Yeah,
nine.
there's just 1-9 also.
There's
okay?
just 1-9. Yeah. So this is the last.
You must be
time
really bad
Loudbeard-
on dates.
I am. It's a Friday.
That's
man.
what she said.
It's our. Yeah. Oh, good one. Where's your Kawhi laugh? That was awful, man.
Was that better?
I wish I
that
could have gotten a
second
drop
one was
on your
me.
laugh.
The 1st one was the recording.
I'm gonna go back and get your laugh and use that as a drop. Yeah, man, it's a Friday, first Friday back. It was a little rough getting up early again after a 2-week hiatus.
Oh, absolutely, man. It was tough. The first day wasn't so bad. The second day, not as bad. But by Wednesday, I was like, oh, my God, I got to peel myself out of bed. I was off. I had off of work, off of everything. I was on a cruise, sleeping in every day. And then, bam, reality hit me Monday. So it was a challenge. I agree with you.
You were on island time for a good week. And then
Yeah, I
to
was
come
on
back-
I don't care what time it is. Like,
Right.
sleep during the day, stay up all night, whatever. I felt like I was back in
Exactly.
college.
Wake up at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, whatever it takes. You do what you can on a cruise ship. You enjoy the little bit of time you have on there, and you treat it like it's a different world. Like,
Now,
time doesn't matter.
Loudbeard, when you're on there, do you eat like you've never had food before when you're on a cruise?
I have in the past. I would say on this cruise, I don't know, as I get older, maybe I'm a little bit more conscious of what I eat. So I didn't eat my face out as bad as I normally would, but I still overindulged quite a bit.
I'm the type of guy, like, if I just walk past food, I'm like, oh, free food? I'm going to take it. Even if I'm not hungry, that's what I would do on a cruise. Especially those ice cream machines, man. They, like, strategically put ice cream machines all over the cruise ship. And it's just like, even if I'm just stuffed to the brim, I'm still like, waffle cone all over that.
And I don't know what they put in that ice cream. That is the best ice cream
It
you
is.
can find anywhere. And I don't know if it's because it's on a cruise ship or whatever it is. That those ice cream machines, they do it right.
Yeah. Hopefully you're not listening to us in, like, I don't know, Canada or Maine, where it's freezing cold, listening to us talk about cruise ships and eating ice cream right now and everything else.
Hey, why not?
Come on down, guys. It's going to be 65 degrees today here in Orlando, Florida. Feel
Yep,
free
come to Central
visit.
Florida. Port Canaveral is right down the street from us. You can jump on a cruise ship and enjoy it yourself. You don't have to be shoveling snow on this beautiful winter
Right.
day. You could be out laying on the pool deck, enjoying some beautiful sunshine, getting a nice tan. Why
one
not?
of
That's
our-
what the Scout team recommends.
One of our sister shows on 12 Ounce Sports Radio, the lovely ladies at 12 Ounce, at Girls Beer Sports, they said it's going to be snowing this weekend in Kentucky. So I sent her a screenshot of our weekend weather forecast of 75 and 79 on Sunday. And I was like, come on down.
Ooh.
Come on down. Just take the weekend off and just come to Florida. You got a place to stay with Scout Team.
It's like salt in the wound, though. Like, you're right
It is.
there.
It's a little bit of a jerk thing to do, but you know what? We put up with triple digits in the summertime.
You know
every
what
single
happens,
day.
though, when you have beautiful weather in the great state of Florida? Good things happen. A guy like Tim Tebow, he gets engaged in Jacksonville with beautiful weather in the background at his home to Miss Universe. I mean, this is beautiful stuff that happens. When you have nice weather, good things can happen, Chris America.
That's true. That's true. And I'm glad to see a guy like Tim Tebow finally find the woman of his dreams. He's waited a long time, and I got to hand it to him. He's waited. He's now in his 30s. It's something I wish I would have done. You know, I went through 2 marriages. Probably should have taken the Tim Tebow route and waited until I was at least 30 years old to get married.
So you should have gotten a Heisman Trophy. You should have
Yes.
gotten 2 national championships.
Yes.
You should have played professional football, won
mhm.
playoff games against
Yep.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
You should have then gone and moved on to baseball, became
Well,
Double A
back up.
All-Star and
Back
future
up.
major leaguer.
Back up.
Did I
I should
miss
have
something?
become
Did I miss something?
an SEC network analyst first.
Nah, I take that
Then-
off his resume. That's his worst thing he's got.
That's true. Oh, yeah, I should have done all of that with my life. Instead,
Yeah,
I didn't.
yeah, it's easy to look back.
Yeah.
You never want to second guess. You always got to look forward, Chris America. This is the
Hindsight's-
new year. We've
Hindsight's
got
11-19.
Yeah, 2019 is what hindsight is. You've got to look forward. You've got a new year, a new you. You've got all of these great New Year's resolutions that you're doing. You know what? It's time to move forward, and that's what Tim Tebow said. He said in 2019 he wants to be engaged, and he did it. And maybe we should have followed the Tim Tebow route, but we didn't. We followed the scout team route. We followed the Chris America and the Loud Beard route, and those are the best routes, in my opinion, that anybody could possibly follow. Don't you agree?
The wide receiver coach agrees.
The wide receiver coach always agrees. There's nothing wrong with that. All right,
no,
hey.
he only agrees when you do good routes.
Okay. I like your witty wordplay this morning. It's very nice. So, speaking of wide receivers coaches, the wide receivers coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers will probably not have one of the best weapons in all of the NFL coming up this next season. It looks like the Steelers have come out and they said they're not going to cut Antonio Brown, but they do not envision him being on their roster come training camp next year. So it looks like it is a free-for-all now for Antonio Brown. It looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers have put him up on the trade block, have put him up to see what kind of interest is out there in the league for a guy like Antonio Brown. And I have to say, teams would be, I don't know if I would say idiotic, but there's be something wrong with the team if they did not even explore the option of what it would take to get Antonio Brown. This has been the best wide receiver over the last 5 years in the NFL. Every team in the NFL should be giving the Pittsburgh Steelers a call asking what they can do to get this guy on their team. This guy is a playmaker. Yeah, he's become a little bit of a diva, but every wide receiver is. But the amount of production that he has brought to the Steelers, I would say that any team in the NFL could use a guy like that. You know, we went gaga over the Amari Cooper trade when it panned out for the Cowboys. Imagine the Cowboys have gotten, if they would have been able to get Antonio Brown instead of Amari Cooper. Right now, we would probably be saying Super Bowl for the Cowboys. I mean, this is the type of guy that is on the top of the talent list at wide receiver, and he's still in his prime, and he's coming up he's going to be available for teams. Chris America, who do you think would benefit best from going after this guy? And would your Carolina Panthers, could they use a wide receiver?
That was going to be my answer when you said who could benefit best. It's the Carolina Panthers. It's Cam Newton. Now, we do need some offensive line, so hopefully we don't trade away too much to where we can't use draft picks to get an offensive line, or we can just sign one. I don't know, but we got to get that offensive line right first because, as I've told Anthony Mack, our residential FSU fan, you can't win without a good offensive line. I don't care how good the rest of your team is. You can't win if your trenches aren't that good. But with that said, Carolina has not had a top 5 wide receiver since Steve Smith. It feels like ages since I've had a wide receiver on my team where I'm like, man, this guy's uncoverable. he's going to cause your defensive problems. The quarterback, he's going to have lots of yards because he's got this wide receiver on his team. It's been forever. Like we thought we had it in Kelvin Benjamin, but he decided eating cupcakes and bonbons was a lot more important than football, so we had to ship him out. And then Funches, he's been okay, but he hasn't been Antonio Brown okay. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Funchess had a lot of hype around him coming in, and he just hadn't lived up to that hype. He's still been a solid wide receiver, but he never came into that superstar status that a lot of people thought he would.
He would complement Antonio Brown well. Like if he was on the other side of Antonio Brown, he would basically be the TJ Houshmandzadeh to Chad Johnson.
Oh, great example. Look at you pulling
man.
out the bag of tricks this morning. I like it. I also have a team that would be good, that needs a wide receiver pretty bad. The Washington Redskins, of course, that's my team. So, I'm going to be a little bit partial. I'm going to read.
Not wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to read the wide receiver depth chart here for you and tell me what you think about this. Josh Doxson, Michael Floyd, Jamison Crowder, Maurice Harris, and Trey Quinn. Wow, that's superstar wide receivers right there for you, isn't it?
I don't know where you're going to find a spot for Antonio Brown on there. He'd probably be like the ninth receiver on that list, and you didn't even list 8 receivers.
Work his way in. He'd have to work his way in because this is a dynamite group of wide receivers here. But in all seriousness, there is not a lot of talent at the wide receiver position for Washington, but I don't know that Washington would be a great place for him because there's questions at the quarterback position. I would think Antonio Brown would want to go to a place where there is an established quarterback, so a guy like Cam Newton would be a great place to go because Cam Newton, he is a good quarterback. He is a guy that when he's healthy, he could really help Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown could help that team out. There's several other teams out there that have some weaknesses at wide receiver. I mean, I think of the New York Jets. The Jets really struggle at the wide receiver position. But again, that's not a place that Antonio Brown would likely go to. So it's interesting to see how this whole Antonio Brown chase will play out.
Well, let me ask you this, Loudbeard.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What is going on in Pittsburgh, though? Because they're going to go into next season without a top 5 running back that they had on their roster for the last 5 years. And now they're going to go in without their top 5 wide receiver, probably top 2 in Antonio Brown. Like, do you see decline now? Like, I get if you want to move on from one or the other, but now you're moving on from both, and you're expecting an old, aging Big Ben to lead your team and carry your team?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some challenges there in Pittsburgh. The Le'Veon Bell situation last year got so messy, and I understand the organization's stance. They're not wanting these players to hold them hostage. And they've done this in the past where kind of diva wide receivers, they didn't hold on to them forever. I think of guys like Plaxico Burress moving on, and I think about guys like Santonio Holmes moving on. They don't hold on to guys forever. Now, a guy like Hines Ward, who was more of a blue-collar, great blocker, really did a lot of things for the team and wasn't so much of that diva, I would say. Yeah, they stuck with a guy like Hines Ward, but sometimes when these wide receivers just become a little bit too big of an ego for this system, they go ahead and they see what they can get for them and they move on. And every time they do that, they always know that they have the next guy in waiting. So when they let these other guys go, like when Santonio Holmes left, I believe that's when Antonio Brown kind of emerged. Well, now with Antonio Brown leaving, this guy's already emerged, but Juju Smith-Schuster is a legitimate superstar in the NFL, and he's a guy that's going to take over as that number one guy. And you don't know, they may have somebody in mind, or they may draft somebody to come in and be that complimentary. So I actually don't think the Antonio Brown deal is as big of a deal as the Le'Veon Bell. But when you put them together and you say, okay, in 2 years we lost 2 of the best players at their position in the NFL, yeah, that kind of looks as an organization like you're on a downward spiral. And again, the Big Ben, what you're saying, him being aging, he's not getting any better. We've seen the prime of Big Ben. I don't think you're going to see any better seasons than what you've already seen out of Big Ben. I think we're on the decline of his career. And because he's big and he takes a lot of hits, you're going to see more injuries. There's going to be challenges in Pittsburgh coming up. But every team goes through that where they have their ups and downs. And the Steelers have been very fortunate because they've had a lot more ups than they've had downs. But maybe it's time for them to have a little bit of a downswing, maybe retool, bring in some young talent, fix some of their problems, and regroup. And maybe, and again, this is me being kind of forward thinking, is maybe they have a rough year or two and then bounce back and get back into the fold 2 to 3 years down the road. That's what I think Pittsburgh needs to do.
Yeah, but I think sucks about that, though, is I don't think Mike Tomlin survives that.
I would say normally no, but the Steelers are very, very loyal to their coaches.
They are.
At any organization, I mean, like, this is Bengals type loyalty where Marvin Lewis could go 8-8 for 10 years straight, and the Bengals would have kept him. And that's kind of what he did, except he threw in a couple playoff seasons and a couple 4-12 seasons.
He didn't throw in a couple. He threw in 7 playoff seasons. Because wasn't he like 0-7 in the playoffs?
Yeah, that's true. But wasn't he there for like 15 years?
Yeah.
So it was like every other year he could
Right.
make the playoffs and lose in the playoffs.
When you look at like Sean Payton's career, he's kind of done the same thing. He's been there with the New Orleans Saints for a really long time, but the Saints are kind of in every other year or every other 2 years they'll go 2 on into the playoffs and then they'll take 2 off type deal.
Except Sean Payton has a Super Bowl ring.
That's true.
That's
Just
a big difference.
Just like Mike Tomlin does.
So Marvin Lewis is more like the Tony Romo of coaching.
He is the Tony Romo of coaching. I like that analogy.
So, but Mike Tomlin, he has a Super Bowl ring. He's had numerous playoff, experience with winning and going and a lot of stuff. So I think he could afford 2 bad years. If they did 3 bad years in a row, yeah, that would probably be the end of Mike Tomlin. I think he could weather it. I really do. Again, just because of that team, that management, that ownership, they are not quick. They're not knee-jerk reaction. They're the type of city and the type of team to hang on and ride through that wave because, again, with the downs, you get back to the ups. And when you get back to the ups, good things can happen. And consistency and there's a value to that a lot of teams don't understand. And, I look at the Bucks, and they churn through coach year in and year out. They may give a guy 2 years, but they never can get that program back up and running because they don't have any loyalty. Good coaches don't want to coach in Tampa Bay because they know that it's a short lifespan because Tampa has a very knee-jerk reaction to how they handle coaches. But in Pittsburgh, they will hang on to a coach for 20 years because they know consistency creates success, and that's what the Steelers have done, and that's what's worked for them.
Yeah, you're right, and honestly, I like it. I'm not a big Steelers fan, but I do like the fact that the Steelers hold on to their coaches and give them an opportunity to coach for a long time. Because I hate this whole hire and then fire 2 years later or 1 year later. Like giving a coach 1 year and then hiring some no-named Texas Tech coach who's had 3 losing seasons in a row just makes no sense to me.
No, it makes 0 sense whatsoever. And we mentioned the Bengals with their consistency at coaching. It looks like they've found their guy of the future. Now, they can't officially hire him, but Zach Taylor, the quarterback coach of the Rams,
yes,
he has been tabbed as the possible, potential, probable Bengals coach coming here in the near future. I would say if I was Zach Taylor, this is a good opportunity because the Bengals typically give coaches opportunities to succeed. And, there's talent on that Bengals roster. This could be a good, maybe great opportunity for Zach Taylor.
Well, Loudbeard, I don't know if you know this, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I moonlight as a career advice counselor. So I'm going to give everybody out there some career advice. So you got your notepad ready. Make sure you take some notes. You good?
Yeah, I got my notepad ready.
Right.
Hold on 1 second. Yep. Okay. Yep. Got my
pen. All right,
pen.
good. So
okay,
make sure you jot this down.
Yeah.
If you want to become an NFL coach now these days, just somehow get into Sean McVay's life.
Ooh,
Just write
good
that down.
advice.
So
Just when I
whether
think you couldn't possibly be any
Oh,
dumber.
I'm sorry, I pushed the wrong button.
you did push the wrong button, that's okay. But make sure that you become his quarterback coach. Maybe become his dog walker. Shine his shoes at the airport. But this hiring season, it's been all about Sean McVay, and it's not even his coaching tree. It's just, hey, Cliff Kingsbury, you you guys
Gotta
have
look
the
like
same.
him.
You guys have the same cluster mailbox in L.A. Like, great, you're hired.
Yeah.
You once passed by him at the airport. Come on down. We want you to be our head coach. And I kind of don't understand it. Like, I understand Sean McVay has done a spectacular job turning around the Los Angeles Rams, and maybe some of that has to do with the fact that Sean McVay is a good coach. Maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that Jeff Fisher is just a god-awful coach and was holding that talent so far back that it makes Sean McVay look good. I kind of would want to see more out of Sean McVay in the playoffs before I go all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, hiring anybody and everybody that works for him, knows him, or has the same zip code as him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. And I look at a guy like Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy got let go this year by the Packers, but when you look at his resume, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's got a lot of winning behind him. He should be a very respected coach. Now, Mike McCarthy was interested in that Jets job and did not get it, and he said he's going to just take a year off away from coaching. If you're one of these teams that they're looking for somebody that can come in and make a difference, I mean, with the resume like Mike McCarthy's, why would you not look at a guy like that? I just don't understand why these teams felt so inclined to go kind of off the rails and really it's such that copycat. We need to find that next Sean McVay that they don't even want to take a proven winner. They would rather go for this wild card.
Yeah, and if you're going to go for a coaching tree and wild cards and stuff, why wouldn't you go over to the tried, true, and blue proven tree of Andy Reid? Like that Andy Reid coaching tree, or just that same, it goes all the way back to that 90s Green Bay Packer coaching tree, which is really...
With John Gruden, your favorite coach.
No, not him, but really just
But
your
he was
John
there.
Walsh coaching tree. No, he was there, but you think about Andy Reid, Tony Dungy, I'm trying to think of who the other guys were. Tony Dungy's coaching tree has been far more successful and proven so far. But, I mean, look at Doug Peterson. Andy Reid sent Doug Peterson over to Philadelphia, and he wins a Super Bowl. Like, why are you
I wonder
not
how
going-
Andy Reid feels about that, though.
I bet it chaps his ass a little bit.
It's got to.
But he's got Patrick Mahomes, and if he wins the Super Bowl, I think that'll cool it down a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. It fixes all.
But
all.
I bet it grinds his gears just a tiny bit that his guy went to Philadelphia and did what he couldn't do within the first year or two. But why not tap into Doug Peterson's tree? Like, Doug Peterson is doing just as much, or if not more, with less talent over there in Philadelphia. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, for goodness sakes.
Oh, whoa. Do not disparage Nick Foles. Nick Foles is
He's
a
Super Bowl
dynamic
MVP.
MVP of a Super Bowl. Come on now.
But who made him that way? Doug Peterson. And that's who I would want coaching for me, is guys who've worked under Doug Peterson and or Andy Reid.
Well, one of the coaches from that Philadelphia Eagles team goes over to the Colts, Frank Reich, and he is doing very well. He goes over there. So you're right. You get that tree, because it's not just Andy Reid, then Doug Peterson. You get all of that, the branches, the people that worked under Doug Peterson. I mean, these guys all seem like they do. They have success. And we're going into this wild card weekend, and we've got a lot of great games ahead of us. And a lot of these teams are doing well because of great coaching. You need to have a really solid coach in the NFL. Otherwise, you will not succeed. Even if you have a ton of talent, even if you have a superstar quarterback, if you do not have great coaching and you do not have that team under control, you will not be where you're at now. And we have talked about Bill Belichick in the past just ad nauseum because he has been so successful. But it's one of those things where you know that coach is going to get that team up and ready for every important game. And that's what a good coach does.
Yes. So, Loudbeard, I think what I'm saying is that until proven otherwise, I feel like Sean McVay's coaching tree is a little overrated.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to see opportunities to prove that when
Yes.
Zach Taylor goes to the Bengals. We're going to see
Or
what
just-
he's able to do.
Well, I just want to see if this weekend, if Sean McVay can win a playoff game. I want to
Okay.
start there, too. I want to see that
Well-
Sean McVay is the guy, or is he going to become another regular season coach? But I say overrated because I sent you a little texty text this morning
Yep, it was a good text. I liked it.
of of the most overrated and underrated quarterbacks as told by 85 anonymous defensive players in the NFL. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I can't argue with it. Cam Newton was the most underrated quarterback, and
I think that surprised me.
that surprised you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the recency effect where you're thinking of the last 6, 7, 8 games of the season where it was pretty bad for Cam Newton, but we're
Yeah.
going to blame that on the injury. We're going to move on. We're going to use that excuse. But if you look at Cam Newton, you had MVP Cam Newton was at 2015, I believe he won the MVP. Cam Newton has had some good seasons. Now, he's been a little bit of a roller coaster. He's either on or he's really off.
Yeah.
And when he's on, I think that's what the defensive players think about. And they know that that is a guy that's scary because he can run, he's got speed, he's got size, he's got a monster of an arm, and he's a guy that he can make a play anywhere on the field, and he just, I don't know, when you think of defensive linemen, when Cam Newton's sneaking, when they're on the 1 yard line trying to score, those guys are like, oh no, not Cam Newton. Anybody else, we don't care, but Cam Newton's going to leave a mark. And he's like a truck running them over. So I could see where they would say he's underrated because he does do a lot. He carries a lot for that team. If he's not going, the whole team's not going. But if Cam Newton is on, the Panthers can be unstoppable.
Yeah, so I think the reason why I said it was surprising is because if you polled fans would tell you he's the most overrated quarterback, or at least top 5 overrated. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think there's a contingency out there that would agree with you that would say, yeah, he's overrated, but I would disagree with them.
I think it speaks volumes that the players that have to actually defend him and go against him say, no, man, this kid is a lot better than most people will give him credit for. So, but what about the overrated quarterback, Loudbeard? Who was that?
Kirk Cousins, overrated quarterback. This I'm not surprised about because I'm assuming this
No, I'm
poll
not
took
either.
place like now. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna assume that it was done within the last 2 weeks or something. And when I think about it, Kirk Cousins this past season got paid a huge guaranteed contract, the biggest guarantees ever on a contract, right? So players see that, and there's usually a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of resentment at the quarterback. And when you look at a guy that gets paid the most guaranteed money, you expect the performance to meet that amount of money that gets paid. And what Kirk Cousins has done, and at being a Redskins fan, I've seen this year in and year out, is he has shown glimpses of greatness. He has shown a ton of potential, and you keep thinking that he's going to take that next step. And as a Redskins fan, there's 3 years there where I was like, okay, this is the guy. And he choked in big games, and when it came down to those last couple games of the season where it's like playoff time and you need to get into the playoffs, he would always lose those games that really knocked the Redskins out of the playoffs. And when that happened, I was like, this guy is just, there's something missing there, but there's still a ton of potential. Maybe it'll be different on the Vikings. After this season, the Vikings, with all the talent that they had, missing the playoffs, a lot of that falls on Kirk Cousins' shoulders. Got to say it right here. And because of that, I would agree with those players. You have to look at that and say, yeah, this guy is overrated based on contract, based on expectations, based on what he actually put on the field. I would say he was overrated.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think he's overrated for now, but I'm hoping that both of these guys can get to a point where they're leading their team, they're winning playoff games. Because, Loudbeard, you and I grew up in an era of the quarterback. Like, we grew up in a time when John Elway, Dan Marino, for a little while. We were a little too young for it, but Joe Montana was there. Who else? Steve Young, Troy Aikman. It was just Warren Moon, just a great, solid quarterback core. And then we went through this quarterback drought where all we had was Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. A little bit of Brett Favre here and there, but Brett Favre I really put in with those other guys like we just mentioned with John Elway. He's sort of in that era. Where in the 2000s he was there, but the Packers weren't really winning that much. They weren't a really good team. But it was really just Tom Brady and Peyton Manning from, gosh, I don't know, like 2000 on to maybe 2010. And then we started picking up the Eli Mannings and the Ben Roethlisbergers and now Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. But I want to get to a point where we're back to where you look at any NFL team and you think, man, that quarterback's really good, and I think they can win a playoff game.
Okay. I like where you're going with that. I think we do need to get back to that. It's a weird, different age, though, because now quarterbacks are scrutinized so much more. The social media aspect, you guys get kind of bumped up really high because they make one good play and everybody's seeing it on their news feed. And then if somebody makes a bad play or has a bad game, you know about it, and it gets talked about on the TV, on sports radio, on social media, and everything. It's like an overload. So I just think that this day and age, it's different. And with fantasy football, I think that's changed how people view football and how we view these quarterbacks. If a guy doesn't win you your fantasy football championship, all of a sudden you don't like the guy. Things like that happen. But I'm with you. We need to get back to that golden age of quarterbacks. We're seeing guys like Patrick Mahomes come out. We need the whole NFL to be a lot of talent at the quarterback position, because if everybody's got a talented quarterback, then we can refocus on some of the other aspects like having great defenses and how good an offensive line plays, and the running backs can get more attention. And I don't know. I'm with you, Chris America. Bring back the great quarterback age. Bring it back. We need it.
Yes. Well, we're going to talk about which quarterbacks we have the most faith in going into this weekend's playoff games. And I watched some college basketball this week, and Duke's not my number one team. I'll tell you who is on the other side. When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
What a beautiful Friday morning it is. Welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. He's Chris America. I'm Loudbeard. We bring it to you hot and live each and every weekday morning, 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce Sports Radio. If you do not have an opportunity to catch the live show and you love listening to us, you can always go back and catch the episodes at our podcast. It's available on our website, scoutteamradio.com, and you can catch it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and anywhere a podcast can be found. Also, God bless America. Yes, I said it. God bless America, because we mean it. We're patriots here at Scout Team Radio. If you want to get interactive with us, make sure you hit us up on Twitter. Our handle is at Scout Team Radio. Make sure you tweet at us. We may read your tweets on the air. We may love your tweets. We may talk about your tweets. We may bring those topics up live on the show. So make sure you hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Well, Chris America, we are back. We are back in the fold, and now we're going to talk about some of these wild card games. And you said you were going to talk about some of these amazing quarterbacks we've got going on.
Yeah, we're going to go back in time so we can predict the wild card games. I'm going to predict that the Colts win 21-7.
No, I said wild card. Yep. Yeah, that was my bad. No
Thank worries, man. I said January 1st, so that's even more embarrassing.
Yeah, I called you out on that. Yep. We call each other out. That's how we do.
I got the date wrong twice this week.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's sitting there right on the bottom right hand of your computer. Should be right there, and it says it. So should be easy every day.
So Loudbeard, one of the games that sports fans and radio show hosts like to play is who would you build your team around for the next 5 years type games. And I want to take the quarterbacks that we have in this playoff right now that are currently still standing, and who would you want to build your team around for the next 5 years? And then this makes it interesting because there's a lot of great quarterbacks in there, but some of them are really old. Some of them have had injury problems in the past and had to sit out for a year plus. And others are very young and unproven. So I think this list of quarterbacks is pretty interesting to say who you would build it around.
Okay, I like what
for the next 5 years, who's your quarterback?
All right, I like this question. Okay, so I've got a breakdown here for you. So I'm going to say that the Patriots, Saints, and Chargers all have really great quarterbacks, but they are all at the end of their career. So you're going to say old man Phil Rivers, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees. To me, for the next 5 years, I wouldn't build a team around them because I think that they will, 5 years from now, will all be retired. If not, they will be kind of on the decline. So that's not a team. Those aren't guys that I would build around just because of age. And then I look at other quarterbacks on this list. I look at Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. I don't like Dak Prescott. Maybe that's because I don't like the Cowboys because I'm a Redskins fan. But I'm going to say pass on Dak Prescott. I think he's showed that he's a good NFL quarterback. He's been great at times. There's nothing bad about him, but I would not build my program around Dak Prescott. Jared Goff, same thing. I think he's had an amazing year this season, but he hasn't proven the long-term success that I think a quarterback is going to need to have in the NFL. The jury's still out on Jared Goff. Nick Foles, he's not even the starting quarterback for his own team, even though he's amazing. He's got magic. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's still the second-string quarterback. So I'm not going to build around Nick Foles. I'm breaking it down now. So that just leaves, after breaking and taking off all these quarterbacks, that just leaves process of elimination. I've got Patrick Mahomes and Andrew Luck.
Yes.
And I would say out of those two quarterbacks, who they happen to be playing each other this week, which is going to be, to me, an amazing game, out of those two quarterbacks, I'm looking at the potential and the future of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had one of the greatest single seasons of any quarterback in the history of the NFL. It rivaled some of the great Peyton Manning seasons. It rivaled some of the great Tom Brady seasons. He has had a phenomenal season, but it has been just one season. So do I take the great potential based off of one season of Patrick Mahomes? Or do I take a guy like Andrew Luck, who has had several great seasons, but some injury risk in there? So now I feel like there's a challenge there. Now, if I'm doing it based off of pure leadership, I would say Andrew Luck, because he's got a little bit more veteran savvy to him, and he's just, I don't know, I feel like he's more of a leader just based off of what I've seen. But if I'm going just pure potential and what I think I would build a program around, because the idea is you want to get to the Super Bowl, you want to be there every year, year in and year out. It's an offensive league. So that would make me kind of lean towards Patrick Mahomes. But Chris America, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to roll the dice with the injury bug. And I would say out of all the quarterbacks, he's still young enough. He's got so much potential, and I think he's gritty, and he's got a neck beard. I would pick Andrew Luck slightly over Patrick Mahomes to build a team around over 5 years, because I have more, I guess, confidence in a guy that I've seen for a couple years really have great seasons. Even though there is that injury concern, I feel like he's gotten past that. That's who I would select.
I like that pick, and I honestly didn't think I would see that coming. If I were to put odds on favorite, I would have thought you might have said, yes, he's old, but he's the youngest out of all the old quarterbacks, and that would be your boy, Phillip Rivers. So
I do like Phil Rivers. I like him a lot. He's a good guy.
Rivers is 37. So if he played 5 years, that would put him at 42. And Tom Brady is still playing at a fairly high level at 40, and maybe Phillip Rivers could do the same. So if I could get Phillip Rivers for 5 years, and he makes it to 40 and plays at the same level that he is at, just like Tom Brady did between 37 and 40, I think I might take Phillip Rivers. I'm going to have to eliminate Patrick Mahomes, because I know the audience would understands that is my answer. My answer is Patrick Mahomes, hands down, because I'm the president of the Patrick Mahomes fan club. But to give it like a true analysis and like a true non-homer type pick, even though it's still, even if I remove my homerism, Patrick Mahomes is the obvious answer here. So I'm going to remove him from the equation and go with Phillip Rivers, because he's got the experience. He knows what he's doing. He finally has a coach and a team, I feel like, that can sort of get him to the next level, get him to where he needs to be. And I'm honestly, this is one of the matchups I'm excited to see. The Chargers versus the Patriots. It's been the Patriots, and the Tom Brady monkey has been on Rivers' back, and I feel like it's time for him to get it off. And I know the rest of the country feels that way too, although I won't be upset if the Patriots win. But it would be kind of a cool story to see the Chargers and the Phillip Rivers get over that hump and finally win a Super Bowl. And I feel like if Rivers gets that Super Bowl championship this year, that might give him the confidence. It might give the Chargers the confidence that they need to say, you know what, we can do this. Like, this is a thing that we can do year in and year out. And if I have to deal with 2 bad years of Rivers being 41 and 42 to get those good 3 years, I think I take that.
Wow. You're going out on a limb there. Now, if Phillip Rivers wins the Super Bowl this year, does that put to rest all of the debate on whether he's a Hall of Famer?
I think if he wins a Super Bowl, get his bust ready, get his gold jacket ready.
All right, so
I mean, maybe his green jacket. He might go out. He might say, "Man, I just won the Super Bowl. I'm going to Augusta, Georgia this spring, and I'm gonna win the Masters."
Yeah, it's like what Tony Romo tried to do, but couldn't really make it.
Yeah, I mean, if Happy Gilmore can go from hockey to golf, why not? Why not Phillip Rivers?
Well, I will say though, Tony Romo, NFL quarterback, borderline PGA pro golfer, and an amazing analyst on TV, broadcaster. This guy is jack of all trades.
He is. Expert of none.
And I'm not a Cowboys fan, but for some reason, Tony Romo has endeared himself to me. That's just
here, man.
I don't know what the deal is. Okay, so you said Chargers-Patriots game. So you want to see Chargers get the Patriots off their back. I agree with you. I think this is the Chargers' game to win. It is in Foxborough, a very tough place to play. With the experience of Bill Belichick, the amount of time they had with the bye week to plan for this, it is going to be a tough task for these LA Chargers. But this Chargers team, to me, has a better defense than I have ever seen them have. And Phillip Rivers, his experience really comes into play. Melvin Gordon, such a great dynamic running back. This team has got good weapons as wideouts with Keenan Allen, and I think this is the season. I'm with you that the Chargers get that monkey off their back and they go ahead and they get the win in Foxborough against the Patriots.
Yeah, man, I like it. The only thing I don't want to see happen, though, is I kind of don't want to see LA versus LA in the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of torn here because I'm not a fan of teams moving, but I'm kind of over my anger and frustration with, San Diego and St. Louis moving and going to LA. It would kind of suck to see them win a Super Bowl or play each other in the Super Bowl and kind of validate that decision. But I'm kind of over that now, and I'm more focused on Phillip Rivers winning. Ladbeard, what is another matchup that you're excited about this weekend, though?
The Colts-Chiefs. We talked about these great
right.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The Andrew Luck versus Patrick Mahomes Bowl. Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'm torn. The Chiefs, to me, are the easier pick, but the Colts, to me, they've got something. I mean, I guess it's that winning the 11 out of 12 of their last games, and they're being on this little bit of a hot streak, and Andrew Luck just seems like he's playing at his prime performance right now, where the Chiefs, I felt like, peaked a little bit earlier in the season, and the Chiefs have such deficiencies on defense, and the Chiefs haven't been that good in the playoffs. Andy Reid is regular season Andy for a reason, so I'm going to have to lean towards the Colts in this one. I don't know why. It's probably a terrible decision, but for some reason, my gut is telling me the Colts are going to win this one.
You know what's funny is I can agree with you. I can see that happen. Like, if that happens, I won't be surprised. But I've said that there's going to be one blowout game this week or next week, and I think that this game could be it. I think this could be the game where if the Chiefs put together a great defensive plan and stops the Colts offense, stops the Colts offense, then the Chiefs offense could take off on this Colts team and put up 35 points quick and win the game like 38 to 14 or 38 to 10.
That's the nice thing about being able to watch these games is it's not a hypothetical, this team could beat that team like we see in college football. It's a real game where it could go either way.
Yeah.
It could be a blowout. It could be an Alabama versus Clemson where everybody says Alabama's going to stomp them, and all of a sudden Clemson goes out and blows them out. That's what the Colts could do to the Chiefs, or the Chiefs could do to the Colts.
Yep.
To me, it is a coin flip, but my coin just kind of sits on its edge and then slowly falls to the way of the Colts. So I'm thinking Colts, but you think maybe blowout. I like your thought on that.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if I were to pick a game, but now that I'm looking at the schedule again, if I could pick another game to be a blowout, I like the Rams-Cowboys chances. Now, the Cowboys defense is really good, so I think this is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a Rams blowout or a Cowboys close win. But I don't see if this turns into a shootout. I don't think that the Cowboys offense can go touchdown for touchdown with the Rams.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because they're a different type of offense. They are a methodical running offense. They want to control the time of possession, which is going to help slow down the Rams. And I think that's going to be the game plan for the Cowboys is to play stout defense, run the ball, and try to just kind of keep the game in hand. I have to go with the Rams on this one, but again, these are all going to be really close games, and they're tough to pick. The Cowboys would not surprise me if they got a win. They seem like they've got everything going in the right direction at the right time. The Rams, the weird thing about the Rams offense, when Cooper Kupp went out, I feel like this offense has kind of hit some bumps and snags in the road and lost a little bit of that effectiveness. But in the end, I do think the Rams end up winning this one.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because my fantasy football team took that same hit when Cooper Kupp went out.
Oh, big time, big time. Hey,
Hey,
by the
so-
way, I'm getting
yeah.
some love here on Twitter. It looks like Loudbeard's nemesis, Longerbeard, good friend of the show. We used to call him the Golden Mike, but he just tweeted at me, "Whoa, Colts over the Chiefs? Loudbeard? Question mark. I'm thinking Mahomes' days are number 2." Ooh, weird. It's got a little
Now-
spice there, nemesis. You got a little
Golden-
spice.
Golden Ghost, I have to ask. I felt like while you were talking about that, I heard Anthony Mack on the mic, but it was like faint and like in the background. Is that true? Please confirm if I heard you, Golden Ghost.
Can you
Well-
confirm or deny?
While I'm at that though, Loudbeard, have you tucked away all of your Redskins jersey, and are you doing what you did last year and pulling out your Eagles jersey again this playoff?
I haven't yet, but I will. It's got to get good use because it's a nice jersey, and I'll be wearing it for the game. Now I am wearing a Redskins sweatshirt right now because that's what I do. I've got a lot of Redskins gear. I'm a big Redskins fan. I'm trying to be more partial and more neutral and not partial, more neutral and just liking all of sports and not being like just the one fan centric. I enjoy the Eagles. I've got family up in Philly, so I can talk to them about it. But yeah, I could see my Carson Wentz jersey coming out again. It brings good luck to Nick Foles when Carson Wentz gets hurt, and maybe that's why it's a good thing. I don't know. It's weird.
All right, we got a Golden Ghost. He just tweeted in his predictions: Rams versus Saints, Colts versus Patriots, NFC AFC Conference Championship games. Loudbeard, I'm gonna go totally opposite of that. I'm gonna go Cowboys and Eagles. I'm going for the all NFC East, and then I'm gonna go Chiefs Patriots.
Okay. Wow.
So I went
you're
kind of.
not
I
sold
went
on
kind
the
of-
Chargers as much
I
as
went
you
kind
thought,
of
huh?
I went away teams. I went away teams with the NFC and home teams with the AFC. No, it's just I have a hard time when when you ask me, you put the gun to my head. I have a hard time picking teams that have bad history. But I found a little other nugget. Did you know the Kansas City Chiefs are 0-7 or 0-9? I can't remember which it was. But since 1970, the Chiefs are 0 against the spread at home in the playoffs.
Oh, I did not know that. That's a good betting little tidbit there.
A little betting tidbit.
The last game, I mean, we're running out of time here. I can't believe the time went so fast. But the Eagles-Saints, you just said that you think it's going to be an NFC East rivalry. So you were thinking the Eagles are going to pull out the upset over the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I think Nick Foles moves up on that list of most upset underdog wins in the playoffs. I think he's at 4 in a row now. I think he gets his 5th one here.
I like him. It's hard to bet against Nick Foles. I don't know what he's got in that magic hat of his, but it is creating some stir in the NFL, and he has done some good things so far. Yeah, I could see the Eagles winning this one. Again, a tough matchup. Saints are a great team. I don't want to disparage the Saints, but I feel like this is the Eagle season. And with that being said, Chris America, I feel like you had a nice tease, and we've got 2 minutes left. Why don't you go ahead and fulfill that tease for our listeners?
Well, Loudbeard, like I mentioned earlier this week, once college football season ends and there's not an NFL game on Mondays or Thursdays, you kind of come out of that cave of football cave, that hibernation. You just kind of hibernate inside of football for 6 months, and then you come out and you're like, oh yeah, there's basketball and there's hockey and other sports are going on. And I started watching some NBA games, some college games, and, when you're in the football cave, you kind of get some sports news on Twitter, and while you're, kind of watching a little bit of highlights, on ESPN or Fox Sports or whatever, or you're listening to sports radio, you kind of hear a lot of, different talk, but you don't really follow it. And all I've heard all year long is Zion Williams and Duke and Zion Williamson, and they're the best team ever, and they're going to win the championship. But last night I watched a team that, Loudbeard, did you know that they're 16-0, and in their last 31 games, they're 30-1, with that one loss coming to the Villanova Wildcats in the championship game. That is the Michigan Wolverines, and I think that needs to be the number 1 team in the nation. Loudbeard, I will always take experience and a full team over those young, talented one and done type teams, and I like Michigan, man. I think Michigan needs to be the number 1 team.
All right. Yeah. You
That is
have
my 1
good
week of
expertise
watching
there.
college basketball. After 1 week, I've said Michigan, and it's final. Everybody should listen to me.
All right. Okay, we're going with your pick. I'm putting all in on my bracket on Michigan right now. $1 million right there. You better not be wrong. Also, I just wanted to give a shout out to Memphis Spence. He just tweeted at us. He said, "I didn't know Foles had a magic hat." I don't know Memphis Spence. He's got a magic something, and I gotta say, whatever that magic hat or magic helmet or magic cup or whatever he wears that's magic, he's got to keep doing it because he's got lots of magic. Go Foles. And last thing, Chris America, did you see that story where the former LSU lineman got shot by a dog?
No, but maybe we should talk about that next week. Because we're out of
All
time,
right.
man. How do you
I
wait
know,
till
we're
this
out of time.
to talk about a dog shooting somebody? That should have been the lead story.
To all of our listeners out there, stay tuned. Monday, we will discuss how a hound dog jumped up into the bed of a truck, took a shotgun, and shot an LSU lineman. It's not funny, folks. He lost his leg. Have a great weekend. We love you.
Where was that story like 30 minutes ago?
I don't know, but you need to Google it. It's funny.
Oh,
But it's sad,
because he
but
lost
funny.
his leg. But God, there's got to be more to that story.
Crazy
man.
story.